Welcome to the Sales Whisperer Podcast, Session 43, the Pioneer Edition. Welcome to the 43rd edition of the Sales Whisperer Podcast. Today we've got Charles Baird, an interesting individual running the Alaskan Pioneer, and we'll tell you his story in just a little bit. But today's funny is part funny, part contemplative. So a woman is strolling along a street in Paris. She spotted Picasso sketching in a cafe. She asked Picasso if he would sketch her and charge accordingly. In just minutes, there she was, an original Picasso. "And what do I owe you?" asked the woman. 5,000 francs, he answered. "But it only took you 3 minutes," she reminded him. "No," Picasso said, "it took me all my life." So remember, charge according to the value you provide, not just according to your time. All right, heard a saying that a gunslinger does not charge per bullet, right? So neither should you. All right, now hold up your iPhones and repeat after me. Today is my day. I work diligently towards my goals, which are bigger than me. I bite off more than I can chew because only then will I truly know my current limits, and surpassing them becomes my new goal for today. Through education, accountability, partners, and bold, decisive action, today will be better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be better yet. I'm ready to produce. Our guest today, Charles Baird, Chuck Baird, bit off more than he could chew. He surpassed his limits in doing something quite dramatic. He, like me, he's an Air Force Academy grad. He was a couple of years behind me. I ran across his story in our quarterly alumni magazine and had to have him on the show. He, after serving his time in the Air Force, he got into the petroleum industry. He, had moved around a bit, grew up in Pennsylvania, attended high school in Florida, went to Colorado, of course, traveled the world with the Air Force, but ended up in Alaska. And he had a goal to see just how much he could endure, also kind of escape. He tells a story how in his industry he had four people that he knew die very young and die from stress. And he said, you know what, life's too short for that. And he embarked on an adventure. He did not do this willy-nilly. He did prepare, and he'll talk about that. He met with doctors, met with psychologists, bought the land, prepared his material, and but set off for a year of isolation in Alaska. And what he got out of that is quite amazing. The interesting thing, though, is, and we bring it up in the story, in the interview, he wasn't completely isolated. He had solar power. He had actually able to update his Facebook profile with a lot of photos and videos that he'll talk about. He's also a videographer, a movie producer, a professional photographer. So he wasn't just living in a cave. There was some interaction. He did have a dog with him. But this is a dramatic story nonetheless. And the lessons that he learned from this apply to all of us in all of our lives, no matter where we are. So I hope you enjoy this interview with Charles Baird. Chuck Baird, welcome to the Sales Whisperer Podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great, Wes. Thanks for having me.
So you are up in Alaska, right?
I am, yeah. I've been up here for 5 years now.
For those that do not know you, I ran across you actually. You're an Air Force Academy grad like me. You were 2 years behind me. And I read your story in Checkpoints, our quarterly magazine for grads. But for those that don't know you, would you mind just take a minute or two, or 3 or 4, and kind of give them your background and why you were on the show?
Sure. Quick background. I went to high school in Florida, went to the academy back in 90, got out in 94, served in the missile forces for 3 years, and then down in Florida with the space program for another 3. In 2000, I got out and got into the petroleum industry. Worked as a director of worldwide maintenance for second biggest offshore company in the world for a couple of years, and went over to a number of different companies. Then I guess 18 months ago, I turned 40 and decided to kind of follow a dream I've been looking looking forward to for many years. Just trying to do some filmmaking, do some adventuring, homesteading up here in Alaska, and kind of retracing the steps of the early pioneers and homesteaders. And I guess there's a difference between reading about it in a book and then actually doing it. So I thought I'd figure it out, see what it's like, and good or bad, be an interesting experience.
So you left civilization. You bought an island, right, in southern Alaska.
Yeah.
5 miles away from the nearest settlement, and built a house, a cabin from scratch, and stayed there for a year alone with you and your dog.
That's right. I bought a little piece of the island. It's a 30 square mile island, but I bought a little chunk of it.
Right.
There's another settlement about 5 miles away. I've never even been there, but mostly it's about 2 hour boat ride from civilization. And ironically, I did not check out the place before I went. The first time I went is the only time I've gone. I brought some gear, some basic lumber, food, that kind of stuff. Planned to do hunting and fishing. But also, have a backup plan and bring enough food so I didn't literally starve to death. So I had, buckets of rice and lentils and that kind of stuff. But I kind of wanted to test myself, push myself to my limits, and kind of see what is it really like to, rely on yourself. You're in sales, you probably run into similar situations where, you wake up in the morning, it's all you. You gotta get it done. So I kind of like it. It's stressful, but it's invigorating. And I thought I'd kind of throw together a number of things. One, I like, the challenge of being on my own. Two, kind of reliving some of the survival school stuff we went through back at the academy.
Yep.
And even my childhood growing up in Pennsylvania, just, playing in the woods. I enjoy nature, that kind of stuff. But the main thing I think is the isolation. My background's in engineering, but I've always been kind of interested in psychology, more human factors engineering rather than straight up electrical engineering or something like that. I find it just absolutely fascinating. So the idea of being on your own introduces a lot of problems because humans are very social animals. In many ways, we kind of relive a lot of the things you think about you overcome in junior high. It's like, you want other people's approval and you want to be friends. And as an adult, I think that a lot of this toned down. But in many ways, those are innate needs. You need people. You need input. In fact, being in like a sensory deprivation tank, you may start hallucinating within 90 minutes because your mind needs input. And so I thought it would be interesting to kind of step back and see what happens. So that was kind of my adventure. Yeah.
So you're not like antisocial. You're not some psychopath, right? You're not the Unabomber. You just
right.
pushing yourself on a challenge.
Yeah, there's a lot of different communities that do what I did. There's those who just needed a place to live. The homesteaders that did it for financial reasons or just for the love of nature. There are the people that are paranoid and that kind of stuff, and there are those who literally worship the trees and the rocks out there. I just like to have an adventure. I like to push myself. I love nature and I love photography and filmmaking. So that was me. I had an absolutely amazing experience. I kind of wondered if I would kind of lose it from the stress. Or I figured I'd either go that way or go to, kind of like the Zen master and be, very comfortable with myself, with God, with just kind of time to step back and relax. And I found the latter, fortunately. I was absolutely happy every single day. It was some of the things that really surprised me are that I didn't miss a lot of things. Actually, I didn't miss anything, not fancy cars or power or money or even food. I ate rice for, 300-400 meals in a row. That was basically what I ate, and lentils. But every morning I'd wake up and I'd be, I want some rice. I want some coffee, and very thankful and very happy. I didn't miss that at all. I didn't miss, steak. I didn't miss going to the movies or really much of anything. What I did miss though is people. That innate need to interact, to show compassion, and it's the things you tell kids that money doesn't matter. It's your friends, your family, your relationship with your loved ones, with God. And so it sounds like a Hallmark card, but I kind of rediscovered obvious common sense stuff that's what I really missed, is talking to people and interacting with people. So.
Right, but you had a plan. I mean, you put this into place with the intention. I mean, you brought your camera, you bought your video camera, you bought a computer, you brought solar panels, you brought equipment to make a windmill, so you could stay in touch at least one way, right? You could push communication out so people could follow you, but you're working on a movie, right, and a TV show.
That's right. It was kind of and some people actually got upset because initially I thought I would only be able to send information out. Once I got there, I found I was able to get a signal. So there were I was usually able to receive and send just very small bandwidth photos and text entries. But it was wonderful because I could interact with people and actually answer questions. We did one thing where people would text in questions, and then I would film the answers. And then when a hunter would come by, I would just give him a DVD or an SD chip. He would send that back into my team, and they would post the answers. So that was kind of a surprise.
Wow. So you did. So you saw some people, huh?
Occasionally, I saw people until I guess November when winter really hit, and then you really can't get in. And then I saw them again about 7 months later, late May, I think. So went about 7 months without seeing them human at all, and I went about 2 months in the dead of winter. I lost all communication.
Oh wow.
So my plan has been to do this for many years. I guess 7 years ago, I got into filmmaking, just kind of messing around on the internet and YouTube and that kind of stuff, just having at a very low level, just silly fun. But it got serious very quickly. I realized this is, monumental. This really is interesting. I had the #1 YouTube video one day and I got like 6 million hits. And I was like, this is amazing that people really want to interact. And it's a completely new interactive media form where you're not just sitting down watching a movie, you are interacting with your viewers. And so that really got my interest in film going. Talked to my cousin. He got his master's in film. And we decided to make a movie. I raised the funds. I wrote the story, worked as executive producer, and he directed it. And we did that about 4 years ago, and that was a movie called Coldwood. A lot of people want to make a movie, and nowadays it really is doable. You really can go out and do it for very little money. We did it for under $100,000, and we were able to raise the money to support that project. But particularly when you step into a new field, no one's going to give it to you, and a lot of people just quit there, which it's daunting. Particularly, I knew I didn't know what I was doing. There's no knowns, and there are known unknown unknowns, which are really scary. The things that surprise you. But we went ahead out and just made the movie, and we did it. We got into film festivals, and it's been very well received. And then as I was heading out to do this, my homesteading adventure, we figured, we might as well film it. Absolutely.
Right.
Maybe we can turn that into a TV show or a series or something. There should be enough in a year to, produce some kind of media that would be of interest. Now, I've been talking about this for many years. No one really seemed to get too involved. But about a month before I took off, I did an interview here in town, or in Anchorage, with just a local guy with the Associated Press. And then that kind of went viral. It was on like 100 newspapers or a website in front of Fox News for, I think, 11 days or something. Did interviews on CNN and Wall Street Journal, and that really took off. And then there was a lot of interest. Worked with a company in L.A. to try to turn it into a TV show, which didn't turn out. It was just too rushed. And I told him, I got to go. So I figured, hey, I'm going to film it myself. If you're interested after the fact, great. But I can't delay my trip, in the hopes of getting some kind of TV deal, because that really wasn't the point. So I brought a number of cameras. Been doing film, for 5-6 years now, in Anchorage and in other places. And I know what I'm doing. So it came out very well. I'm very happy with what I have right now. I'm working with an editor in town to put it together. I think what I'm probably going to do is put it into like a 90-minute television show or a movie, and then sell DVDs, and then also have it cut up into 30-minute segments for television. And there are various ways you can market that, either with a partnership or just do it on your own, actually still get it on the air and make money at the same time. And again, the money isn't the main goal for me. I'm very happy with what I have. But if we could make some money on this, it would help pay for the next adventure. So anyway, it seems like there's been a lot of interest in that, and it's really coming together. It's always the plan is for it to be successful, but after working for years and years and years and no one cares, and then it kind of comes together all at once, which I think is often the way when you get critical mass. It's exciting. So, yeah.
Were there, I know things kind of just took off, but have you been doing specific things, from a
Sure.
social media or marketing PR? Because
Right.
you mentioned, somebody caught wind of it in an interview, it went viral. So people listening will go, oh, yeah, he's just a lucky SOB, and he did something really dramatic, and of course it went viral. That'll never happen to me. So,
Sure.
But were there things you did?
Yeah. Yeah. And to some extent, it's good to be good. It's also good to be lucky. And to some extent, it was lucky. But I forget who said it, but basically, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Mm-hmm.
And so, kind of like I was telling you, I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years, doing film, dabbling, and then more and more serious. And so it's not, a miracle that after 5 or 6 years and then doing some big adventure that people start paying attention. And I don't have a background in film, obviously, but I've kind of figured that out as I go. So I don't know how I would, if I was starting from scratch again, if I'd do it differently. And for people that are interested in doing something similar or, whatever your project is, I would just say do it. People can tell you you'll never succeed, but they don't know. And what is the worst that could happen? I mean, you could fail. No one, you just do it for the love of what you're doing. But as far as marketing, on this film, and then there's another movie that I'm going to be working on probably this fall, possibly on schedule. And basically, we're using several approaches at once. So for Alaskan Pioneer, I started the Alaskan Pioneer website on Facebook, just a fan page. I've got 7,600 fans that, I post a photo and I get like 300 likes and they share it. I posted the Northern Lights video the other, last month, and about 900 people shared it. And so people kind of come to my site from that. And then I've also recorded, when I was on the island, I recorded 160 vlogs, just mostly on my iPhone, which pretty good video quality, but the audio quality is excellent. And then I'm going to supplement my actual film with the good camera, with the audio from the iPhone, when I'm working. But I can also convert that into a free podcast. And then I've also got a book. So as I have this film come together in a couple months, hopefully 3 or 4, I'll be able to release a free podcast. We'll maybe have this on a TV station, and then we'll also have a book. So, we may have people see the podcast and say, hey, this is cool, and kind of, follow along for a while, and then buy the book or the movie or want to be involved in funding the next film. It's kind of like free games on the iPhone. You play some fun game for a while, and you're like, this is amazing. I'm going to go ahead and commit $3 and buy the whole app that's, unlocked because it's so useful. So that's kind of my approach. I would like to provide things to people on multiple levels. If you're just a viewer that doesn't want to spend any money, that's fantastic. You're completely able to interact with me, and I try to answer questions and all that. If you want to buy a book or a movie or whatever, that's great too. But I don't want to ignore, the majority of the viewers aren't going to do that. And I'm fine with that. It's not my goal. But as things move forward, we are taking things more and more seriously. This next project, the budget is going to go way up. And, we've got some bigger plans on all of these things. But it kind of takes some time to get your feet wet and kind of learn what you're doing.
Right.
And, you make some mistakes along the way, but it's an adventure. So.
Would you say your life and your business life are both more fulfilling now that you went and scratched that itch, like you chased that big dream you had?
Yeah, I would say so. It's kind of funny. I joke with my brother about, midlife crisis and all that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't really say that. Generally, a midlife crisis is when you look back in your life and you're like, oh, this is, I failed to meet my goals and all that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't say that. I really, I've been very blessed, and I've worked hard, and I've, achieved what I wanted to do by the age of 40. I'm 42 now. But at this point, I'm kind of just having fun and doing the crazy stuff that I think everyone wants to. Who doesn't want to run away to an island for a year, or write a book, or make a movie? I'm working on a movie set right now, a Hollywood movie, which is a lot of fun. So I'm kind of doing a lot of things right now that most of them don't pay very well at all, which is fine. But I think if you invest your time and your money in yourself, in your passion, you're going to do better at that. I've had some office jobs. Some were absolutely wonderful. Some were really bad. But I would say this. I know that in my late 20s and early 30s, I was working 110-hour weeks. I was working 80, 90 hours sometimes. And I, started having ulcers. I had medical problems just because of the stress level, trying to, rise in the ranks and, get my feet wet and learn what I'm doing in the business world, which is all necessary. But no, it wasn't. It didn't always bring happiness to me. It's kind of like going to school. It's tough, but it's kind of a necessary evil sometimes, and you need to learn, the basics to be able to fulfill the dream that you have. So some of it is delayed gratification. But I remember, when I was in my late 20s and 30s, I had a lot of coworkers who were working the same hours, and they were dying in their 40s. I had, I think, 4 friends die in 3 years. And I thought, I don't want to die. This is, if you delay your gratification until the point of your death, then what was the point? It's worth the pain if you are able to spend time with your loved ones and achieve the things you want and give back, or whatever does it for you. If you're able to get some payback, that's great. You're not going to live forever, and I think when I'm on my deathbed at 80, hopefully, or later, I'm not going to go back and say, I could have made a lot of money when I was a 41-year-old living on an island.
Right.
I'm not going to be thinking about, I wish I had a better truck that year. No, I'm going to be thinking about, I wish I spent more time with my family. I wish I followed that dream. I wish I wrote that book, or, whatever your dream is. So there's a balancing act there. You can't, I would definitely not encourage people to just, abandon their family and go, be a free spirit. But I think you could do it in moderation and follow, what your dream is. But I guess more importantly, if you're not happy with your life, and I've been there a few times in life, if you're not happy with your life, do something different. Don't just keep going out of inertia. So anyway, that's
right.
That's what I've learned. I'm not an expert on life, but
well, yeah, you are. You're doing some cool stuff. But I know I've learned. Dan Kennedy is a marketing guy, and he talks about people will pay for experience and for exclusivity. And you got both there, right? You're one of the probably exclusive people that have lived on an island like that. Although they have, what's that guy, Mick Dodge or something on Discovery Channel, or some dude that lives I think like in Washington, somewhere in the Northwest maybe, and he doesn't have anything. He literally has clothes stuffed in hefty bags. So as he moves around, he knows where they are in the trees, and if he's going up to the mountains, he changes. But anyway. But they'll pay for experience, right? And so in business and in sales, it's a way to change what you offer, to give that exclusivity and that experience to people, but turn it around on yourself, right? Make sure you're giving yourself an experience. Make sure you're living a life worth living, right? Even if it means selling all your stuff and doing something different.
Yeah. That's my thought. Yeah.
I see people... this is my job, right, is working with entrepreneurs, business owners, salespeople, and most are miserable, or they're at least stressed out, how do I get to the next level? I've been doing the same thing over and over. I'm not seeing the results. There's got to be a better way. It's yes, there is. Follow your passion, do something dramatic, but it starts with the little baby step, right? You first had to buy the land, then you had to get your stuff ready, then you had to actually get on the boat and go.
Yeah, and learn filmmaking. And you can't just be lucky. You also have to be good.
Right.
When the door opens and you step forward and they say you're unqualified, you're dead. You can't do that. You got to be ready. So sometimes it is good to develop skills and make contacts and work with people. I do projects sometimes that don't pay anything because it's amazing. And so maybe in 3 years, a new project comes up and they say, we need a person with this very unusual background or skill, then you're ready. And if it's something you love, then you're going to want to do it anyway. But,
right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's tough because you mentioned that instant gratification. We all want that. And
sure.
I do too, right? But it's funny how, as I get older and I see things pop up that I can do, right? It's how do I know how to do that, right? Sometime in the past, maybe it was free, maybe it was some client work we took on for low pay, but it was interesting. Yeah. Now we're qualified and can take on a bigger project. So I'm a little less impatient, I guess, looking back, knowing that, all right, in the big picture, I can see how this can and probably will help me. So just, stay on course. I had a guy on a couple of days ago. He's DJ Paris. He said, sometimes direction beats goals. Right? Because we all have problems with goal setting, all these books, but like if you're moving in the right direction, just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say you shouldn't be as afraid of failure as I think a lot of us are.
Right.
I was talking to someone about a project recently, another film, just a short film that probably no one will ever see anyway. But, we were kind of joking but serious that if it's really good, it's going to rise to the top. People are going to love it. If it's really bad, no one will ever watch it because it's terrible. So, I've had plenty of failures like I'm sure everyone else has too. But I don't regret them. You learn from them. So it's sometimes safe to step offshore and get a little wet and kind of see what you're doing now.
Yeah, my last interview, it seems to come up all the time. You got to be willing to do something poorly until you master it. And too few people, again, that instant gratification, like, oh, that wasn't any good. Let me go to the bar and drink, and tomorrow I'll do something different. Like, whatever, keep going.
Sure. Are you familiar with Malcolm Gladwell?
Sure.
His writings? Yeah, just the whole 10,000-hour theory.
Yep.
That a lot of people are not good for a long time. You really got to practice. They did a study just on people playing violin, and they were like, there's some average ones, there's some very good ones, and the really good ones practice a lot, not because they're really good, but rather they're really good because they practice a lot. So it's a cycle. It's a self-feeding cycle. But
right.
You got to do your homework. Yeah.
So what's in the works for you now? What are you launching?
Working on a couple things. I'm actually working crew on a couple films right now. I'm in Fairbanks working on a movie with James Remar from the TV show Dexter and a bunch of other big stars, which has been a lot of fun. I worked with Nicolas Cage and Vanessa Hudgens and 50 Cent a couple years ago, and John Voight even, just working crew. My movie Coldwood has been in a couple film festivals. We're seeking distribution right now. I'm working now on a family film that I may be shooting this fall. That'd be my first family film, but I'm very excited about it. I got a lot of people that are interested in that. And I'm also working on season 2 of Alaskan Pioneer, where we're looking at a couple of different possible situations. I may go into the interior. I'm actually leaning right now toward moving out to a volcano, an active volcano, doing seismic research, and just kind of living in an environment that would blow the minds of most people. This one will take a lot more work. One of the downsides of taking a big challenge is that the next time you do the challenge, it's got to be bigger, and you got to raise the stakes to keep it interesting for viewers, but also just for myself. I like to. I don't want to do the same thing again. People ask if I was going back to the island. I'm like, no, I've done that. It was good, right. But I want something new. So we've got that. I'm also working, finishing on the podcast, the book, and working on marketing this, season 1. Got a couple options. People have expressed interest in it, and I may partner as long as I can maintain control and the integrity of what the whole project is. I don't want it to be, a freak show or silly. It was a serious thing. And what I think I'm probably going to do is self-produce. And I'm actually looking at one of the networks. You can actually go out and find your own sponsors, and they will air it for free, and you keep the sponsorship money, or half of it. So if you can play it, a few times, the payback is very good. You can get, a couple million viewers, and that actually may be the model I may be using on this thing, completely independent. That way you retain control, and if you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. But it's on me, and it's not. I didn't hand it off to someone, and then I lost control. So
right.
Their trade-off was with that, of course, as well.
Sure, and that's the nice thing with technology today. And I've got 2 books now that I've written, both self-published through Amazon's CreateSpace, and it does fine. It's podcasts, I've figured out how to do it, and it's going through iTunes and really growing. There's no reason. You can't be held back. Good grief, with an iPhone, you can edit video, audio, upload it to YouTube, share it. Share on social media. I can write a WordPress blog on my iPhone, embed the video, and so
it's a different world now. Yeah.
There's no reason to not go try something, and you try enough, you're going to succeed.
Yeah. The pros and cons of that are that obviously there's a lot more competition. There's a lot more noise because any 14-year-old kid can go out there and do a blog. But if you're good, it will rise to the top, and people will pay attention and keep coming back.
Content is still king.
Absolutely. So. The people that are worried about new media either don't understand it or they're concerned about competence that they don't measure up. So I'm excited. It's a good time.
Okay, so if you want something that'll blow people's mind, now they have the Duggars with their 19 kids and counting. I'm going to have my 7th in April. You can come move in with us, film our 7 kids, my big barking dog, and how we get it done.
Wow, yeah, that sounds like a handful.
That'll blow people's mind.
That would, yeah.
So people can find you on Facebook.com, right? / Alaskan Pioneer.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll have links to that in the notes, and that's pretty much where you hang out. Not much on Twitter or things like that.
I am on Twitter, but on an unrelated issue. Yeah.
Okay.
An unrelated account. Yeah. That's the main one. Yeah.
We'll send them to Facebook.com / Alaskan Pioneer. And any parting words of wisdom? I mean,
not wisdom, I guess.
To go out and achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. I would just encourage people to, if you have a dream, go follow it and that kind of stuff. Worst case, you don't succeed, but best case, you do. And even if you don't succeed, it's worth trying. So I know it sounds hokey, but it's true. So go for it.
Yeah. No, you can't get to second base with your foot still on first, right?
That's right.
So you're working tonight on the movie set?
I am going to work at 4:00. We're shooting until 4 a.m. So it's last week we were shooting at 38 below zero at night.
Oh my gosh.
For 12 months. Yeah, it was insane, but it's an adventure. So I love it.
I guess your blood just thickens up and you handle it, huh?
You bundle up, yeah, but it's a different place up here.
I'm hanging out in Phoenix right now in flip-flops, so I don't know, man. My blood has thinned out.
My boots are rated to minus 148 below zero. Hopefully I won't be seeing that anytime soon.
Oh, my gosh. That's amazing. All right, man. Well, be safe, stay warm, and good luck with the movie. We'll get this podcast out, and I hope it helps drive some visitors and helps that movie and your TV show grow.
Great. Thanks. Good talking to you, Wes.
All right, man. Thanks, Chuck.
Could you do that? Could you live for a year on an isolated island in Alaska? I don't know if I could. I think I could. I don't know. After having a big family, though, sometimes I would like some peace and quiet. But then again, family's everything, right? And that's what he missed were the connections. Notice how he talked about missing that human touch, that interaction. That's what mattered. It wasn't the food. He was happy just eating rice. It was that human connection. So, take a moment, maybe go back and re-listen to this. And reanalyze, what are those connections? What are you allowing into your life that's creating too much stress that could possibly even kill you, like he mentioned? And do what you can to eliminate it, even if it's drastic, even if it's immediate. You really don't have to warm up to make a change. You know what needs to be done, whether it's going on a diet, stopping smoking, stopping drinking, whatever. Even if it's your job. If your job is killing you, stop that job. If there's things in your business that are driving you nuts, just stop doing them. Make a change. Hire somebody, sub it out. Stop offering that product or service. Most people offer too many things. They try to be too many things to too many people rather than choosing who to lose. Okay? You cannot serve everybody. So realize who you serve, who you don't serve, who you are for, and what you are against. More times than not, we are better defined by what we stand against than what we stand for. So take these lessons to heart to live a happier, more productive life, run a happier, more productive, more profitable business. Okay, and some tools I offer to help you with that are a couple of things. One, as I always mention, if you've not been to Audible yet, visit wesaudiobook.com, and your first audiobook from them is free with that link. I also offer the Weekly Whisper. You can visit weeklywhisper.com, and that'll take you to my sign-up page. It's a free tool I offer with different insight and advice to help you grow your business. And finally, if you listen to this on the day after it's released, so this is coming out February 19th, on February 20th, if you go to Kindle, you can get my new book for free for the day. For the day, you can get it, but then you'll own it forever. But it takes more than a big smile, a good idea, and a Twitter account to build a business that lasts. 79 stories on selling with integrity, automating your marketing, and living abundantly. So through Kindle and through Amazon, if you are in their Kindle Direct Select program, which maybe I'll talk about on a future episode, but it allows you to give away your book for free for up to 5 days out of every 90 days that you're enrolled in the program. So February 20th, 2014, you can get the book for free on Kindle. So again, it's another tool to help you grow. Thank you for listening. As always, please visit iTunes and leave a 5-star review. Leave a comment on the site. This is thesaleswhisperer.com session 43. Leave a comment there, and please share this with folks that you think can help grow through this podcast. Thanks for listening, and remember to sell different.